The kitchen stone was cold beneath Felicia's knees, but she'd stopped feeling it years ago. Her fingers moved mechanically, scrubbing, rinsing, scrubbing again, while the sounds of celebration thundered through the packhouse above her head. Another successful hunt. Another feast she'd prepared but wouldn't attend. She didn't look up when the door slammed open. "Felicia." Her sister Emily's voice dripped with the kind of contempt reserved for things found on the bottom of shoes. "Mother wants the roasted venison brought up. Now." "It's not ready yet," Felicia said quietly, keeping her eyes on the pot. "Another 20 minutes. Did I ask for excuses?" Emily's designer boots clicked across the stone floor. Even in wolf form, Emily was elegant, silver fur that caught moonlight like water, eyes the color of winter storms. Everything Felicia should have been. Everything she wasn't. Because Felicia had never shifted. Not once in her 23 years. Before we continue, where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. And hey, how are you doing? Really, I want to know. Before we dive into today's story, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications because trust me, you do not want to miss what happens next in this tale. This one's going to gut you in the best way possible. Now, let's get into it. The Alpha has an announcement, Emily continued, examining her nails. Something about the northern border. Apparently, it's important enough that even you need to hear it. Felicia's hand stilled in the water. The northern border had been quiet for months, too quiet. Wolves talked in whispers about the obsidian pack, about their alpha, about things done in darkness that even werewolves feared to name. "I'll bring the food up in 10 minutes, Felicia said. "You'll bring it up now, and then you'll stand in the back like the good little Omega you are." Emily leaned down, her breath hot against Felicia's ear. "Try not to embarrass us more than usual." The great hall fell silent when Alpha Jones took his place at the head table. Felicia pressed herself against the far wall, half hidden behind a stone pillar, the venison platter abandoned on a side table. Her father, the Alpha, had perfected the art of looking through her as if she were made of glass. Her mother sat beside him, regal and cold, flanked by Felicia's 3 sisters, Emily, Celeste, and Isla. The perfect daughters. The ones who shifted at 13, who could track prey for miles, who made the pack proud. Then there was Felicia. The Omega of Omens. The one whispered about when they thought she couldn't hear. Cursed. Broken. Bad luck in wolf form. "My pack," Jones began, his voice carrying the natural authority of an alpha. "Tonight, we face a choice that will determine our survival." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Felicia's heart began to pound. 3 nights ago, messengers arrived from the obsidian pack. The hall erupted. Wolves shot to their feet, snarling, shouting. Jones raised his hand for silence. "Their alpha, Abel Jeff, has made a demand." Felicia knew that name. Everyone did. The executioner Alpha. The monster who'd allegedly slaughtered his own pack in a blood frenzy, who ruled the obsidian territory with such brutality that even vampires avoided his lands. "He wants tribute," Jones said. "A daughter from our pack, offered in peace." The word peace hung in the air like a rotten smell. Felicia's mother, Luna Catherine, stood gracefully. "Our daughters are the pride of Silverfoot. Surely there must be another way." "There is no other way." Jones's jaw clenched. "Refuse, and he burns our territory. Our children. Everything we've built." Emily's face had gone pale. Celeste clutched Isla's hand. For the first time in their lives, the Golden Daughters looked afraid. And that's when Felicia understood. She understood before her father's eyes finally landed on her. Before her mother's expression shifted from horror to something worse, relief. Before Emily's lips curved into the smallest, cruelest smile. Felicia, Jones said. Just her name. Nothing else. The hall went silent. Someone laughed, a nervous, quickly stifled sound. Then another. Soon, scattered chuckles echoed off the stone walls because of course it would be her. You'll be prepared at dawn, Jones continued, already looking away. The Obsidian Pax representatives will collect you at noon. Felicia's throat closed. Her vision tunneled. She wanted to scream, to run, to shift into her wolf and fight, but she couldn't do any of those things. She'd never been able to. Father, the word came out broken. But Jones was already walking away, his arm around Emily's shoulders, comforting his real daughter. Felicia stood alone against the pillar as the pack dispersed, relief and pity and disgust washing over her in waves. No one met her eyes. No one said goodbye. She was already a ghost. Felicia didn't sleep that night. She sat in her tiny room in the basement, not quite a cell, not quite living quarters, and stared at her hands. These hands that had cooked and cleaned and served for 23 years. These hands that had never grown claws. What did I do wrong? She wondered. What god did I offend to deserve this? At dawn, her mother appeared in the doorway. Catherine didn't enter. She never did. There's a dress on the chair, she said. White. Symbolic. Of what? Felicia's voice was hollow. Purity? Sacrifice? Does it matter? Catherine's face was unreadable. You'll do this, Felicia. For your pack. For your family. I'm your daughter. You're our burden. The words were soft, factual. Now you'll finally be useful. The door closed. The lock clicked. Felicia looked at the white dress, simple, cheap, meant to be torn or burned or discarded. A lamb's clothing for a wolf's slaughter. She put it on anyway. Because what else could she do? At noon, the Obsidian Pax representatives arrived. They didn't come as wolves. They came as men, 3 of them, dressed in black, faces scarred and hard. The leader was massive, with eyes like chips of obsidian and a smile that promised violence. The tribute, he said. Not a question. Jones pushed Felicia forward. She stumbled, caught herself. The white dress was too long, she'd already stepped on the hem twice. She's intact, Jones said, as if describing livestock. Never been claimed. Never shifted. But she's Silverfoot bloodline, and clearly defective. The obsidian wolf circled Felicia slowly. She kept her eyes down, her body still. Our alpha demanded your finest. You sent us your garbage. She's what we can spare. The wolf grabbed Felicia's chin, forcing her head up. His hand was rough, calloused. His eyes searched her face for something she didn't understand. Then he smiled. Chain her, he said. The silver cuffs burned when they locked around her wrists. Felicia bit her lip to keep from crying out. Silver was poison to werewolves, and even though she couldn't shift, she still felt its searing kiss against her skin. Walk, the wolf commanded. Felicia walked. She didn't look back at the pack house, at her family, at the only home she'd ever known. Why would she? They'd made it clear, she was nothing. But as the obsidian wolves led her into the forest, toward their territory and their monster alpha, Felicia felt something strange unfurling in her chest. It wasn't fear. It was rage. The journey took 3 days. They didn't speak to her except to give orders. They fed her scraps. They let her sleep on the ground while they took turns on watch. The silver cuffs never came off, her wrists became raw, then bloody, then numb. On the 3rd night, they crossed into obsidian territory. Felicia felt it immediately, a change in the air, thick and electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. The trees here were taller, darker. The earth itself seemed to pulse with power. And then she saw it. The obsidian packhouse wasn't a house. It was a fortress carved from black stone, rising from the forest floor like a claw. Torches burned along its walls. Wolves, dozens of them, prowled the perimeter, their eyes reflecting firelight like demons. "Welcome to your new hell," one of her captors whispered. They dragged her through massive doors into a hall that made Silverfoot's gathering space look like a cottage. Everything was stone and shadow and smoke. Wolves lined the walls, warriors, all of them, scarred and deadly. At the far end, on a throne made of twisted iron and bone, sat Abel Jeff, the executioner alpha. Felicia's breath stopped. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe 30, with jet black hair and a face that could have been carved from marble. Beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful, sharp, dangerous, meant to cut. His eyes were the color of blood and moonlight. He didn't smile. Didn't move. Just watched as they forced Felicia to her knees before him. "This," the lead warrior said, "is Silverfoot's tribute. They're Alpha's daughter." Abel stood. Every wolf in the room tensed. He descended from his throne with the fluid grace of a predator. Each step echoed. Felicia kept her head down, her heart hammering against her ribs. "Look at me." His voice was dark honey and broken glass. Felicia raised her eyes. Abel Jeff stared at her for a long moment. Then he did something no one expected. He knelt. He took her chained hands in his, gently, carefully, and inhaled deeply. His eyes widened. His jaw clenched. "Impossible," he whispered. Then louder, to his pack, "Leave us. Now." The hall emptied in seconds. Even the guards fled. Abel remained kneeling, still holding Felicia's hands. When he looked at her again, there was something in his expression she couldn't name. Wonder? Horror? Hope? "Tell me," he said softly. "Has anyone ever told you what you really are?" Felicia's voice shook. "Broken. Useless. Cursed." "No." Abel's grip tightened. "You're not broken. You're the most valuable creature alive." He reached up and touched her face, one finger trailing along her cheekbone. Where his skin met hers, Felicia felt heat. Power. Something ancient waking up. "You're a silver blood," Abel said. "The firstborn in 100 years. And your family didn't send you here as tribute." His smile was terrible and beautiful. "They sent you here to die. Because they know that once you awaken, you'll be unstoppable. You'll be the only thing that can save us all, or destroy everything we know." Felicia's world tilted. What are you talking about?" Abel stood, pulling her up with him. The silver chains fell away, melting off her wrists like water. "The vampires are coming," he said. "Ancient ones. The kind that slaughtered our ancestors. The kind that can't be killed by normal wolves." He turned her toward a window. In the distance, Felicia saw fires burning on the horizon. "I didn't demand a tribute for pleasure or power," Abel continued. "I demanded one because I'm hunting for the only weapon that can save our species. A silver blood. A wolf whose very blood is poison to the undead." He looked at her, and for the first time since she'd arrived, Felicia saw past the monster everyone feared. She saw a man carrying the weight of the world. "Your pack didn't forget you," Abel said quietly. "They suppressed you. Starved you. Kept you weak because they feared what you'd become." "I've never shifted," Felicia whispered. "How can I be?" "You never shifted because they fed you wolfsbane your entire life. Small doses. Just enough to cripple your wolf without killing you." The room spun. Felicia's mother. The special tea she'd insisted Felicia drink every morning. For your health, she'd always said. They poisoned me, Felicia breathed. My own family poisoned me. Yes. Abel's expression was grim. Because a silver blood can't be controlled. Can't be dominated. Even an alpha's command means nothing to you. He stepped closer, so close Felicia could feel the heat radiating from his body. The vampires will be here in 6 days, he said. I need you to awaken. To become what you were always meant to be. And I need you to help me save everyone, including the family that threw you away. Felicia looked into the executioner Alpha's eyes and saw the truth there. He wasn't her captor. He was her only chance at freedom. Will it hurt? She asked. The awakening? Abel's smile was sad. Yes. Everything worth having does. Then let's begin. The awakening chamber was deep beneath the obsidian fortress, carved from stone so old it predated language. Felicia descended the spiral stairs behind Abel, each step taking her further from the world she knew and closer to something that terrified her. Tell me about your childhood, Abel said without turning around. His voice echoed off the walls. Before they decided you were worthless. Felicia's hand trailed along the cold stone. Why does it matter? Because I need to understand what they took from you. What we're going to reclaim. The stairs opened into a circular chamber lit by blue flames that burned without heat. In the center stood a pool of water so clear it looked like liquid glass. Symbols were carved into the floor, ancient pack markings Felicia had never seen before. I was 4 when I should have first shifted, she said quietly. There was a ceremony. The whole pack gathered under the full moon. My sisters had all shifted by 3. She wrapped her arms around herself. I remember my mother's face when dawn came and I was still, human. Like I'd betrayed her. Abel moved to the pool, touching the water with one finger. It rippled outward in perfect circles. And your father? Pretended I didn't exist after that. I became invisible. A ghost in my own home. Felicia's voice hardened. I taught myself to cook because the pack needed feeding. I learned to clean because no one else would touch the Omega work. I made myself useful because it was the only way to justify the air I breathed. You survived, Abel said, turning to face her. That takes strength most wolves never develop. Or it takes cowardice. Felicia met his eyes. I never fought back. Never challenged them. I just endured. You're wrong. Abel crossed the space between them in 2 strides. Fighting isn't always about claws and teeth. Sometimes it's about waking up every day in a place that hates you and choosing to keep breathing. His hand lifted, hovering near her face but not quite touching. That's not cowardice. That's defiance. Felicia's breath caught. This close, she could see flecks of gold in his red eyes. Could smell cedar and smoke and something wild she had no name for. Why are you being kind to me? She whispered. Everyone says you're a monster. Abel's smile was bitter. I am a monster. But monsters recognize their own kind. He stepped back, breaking the spell. The story about me burning my pack, it's true. They were infected. Turned into something between wolf and vampire. I killed them to save them from becoming slaves to the undead. Felicia's stomach twisted. You killed your own family? I killed the things that used to be my family. Abel's jaw clenched. My mate. My brother. My closest friends. I looked into their eyes and watched the light die, and then I set the fires because it was mercy. He turned away. So yes, I'm a monster. But I'm a monster with a purpose. And I'm your weapon, Felicia said flatly. No. Abel spun back to her, something fierce in his expression. You're not a weapon. You're a person who deserves to know her own power. What happens after the awakening? that's your choice, not mine. You said you needed me to save everyone. I do. But I won't force you. Abel gestured to the pool. This water is purified by moonstone. It will flush the wolfsbane from your system. The awakening will follow naturally, but it will be agonizing. Your body has been suppressed for 23 years. Everything will happen at once. Felicia looked at the pool. Freedom was 3 steps away. Terror was right beside it. What if I'm not strong enough? She asked. Then you'll die, Abel said honestly. And I'll have failed again. Comforting. I don't deal in comfort. I deal in truth. Abel moved to a stone bench against the wall and sat, his posture deceptively relaxed. The choice is yours, Felicia. Stay human, and I'll return you to Silverfoot. Tell them you're useless to me. You can go back to your kitchen and your invisibility. Or you step into that pool and become who you were always meant to be. Dangerous. Powerful. Free. His eyes glowed in the blue light. But there's no going back once you start. The silver blood awakening is permanent. Felicia thought about her mother's cold dismissal. Her father's indifference. Emily's cruelty. 23 years of being nothing. She thought about the white dress they'd put her in, a sacrifice's garment. Then she thought about the way Abel had knelt before her. The way he'd called her valuable. The first person in her entire life to see her as something other than a mistake. If I do this, Felicia said slowly, if I survive, I want something from you. Abel raised an eyebrow. You're negotiating with an alpha? You said silverbloods can't be commanded. I'm testing the theory. She lifted her chin. I want the truth. About everything. The vampires. The war. Why Silverfoot really sent me here. No more secrets. Something like respect flickered across Abel's face. Agreed. And I want you to teach me to fight. Really fight. Not just to be your weapon against vampires, to defend myself against anyone who tries to make me small again. Done. And, Felicia's voice dropped. If this kills me, I want you to make sure my family knows. I want them to know what they did. That they murdered me just as surely as if they'd slit my throat. Abel stood, his expression dark. Felicia. Promise me. He crossed to her, taking both her hands in his. I promise. But you're not going to die. You know how I know? How? Because you're too angry. Abel's smile was sharp. And anger is the best fuel for survival I've ever found. He was right. Felicia was angry. Furious. A lifetime of swallowed rage was boiling in her chest, demanding release. Will you stay? She asked. While I'm in the pool? Every second, Abel said. I'll be right here. Felicia nodded. She slipped off her shoes, they'd given her simple cloth slippers for the journey. The stone floor was cold beneath her feet. The dress stays on, she said. I'm not giving you a show, Alpha. Abel actually laughed, a rough, surprised sound. Noted. Felicia walked to the edge of the pool. The water's surface was mirror smooth, reflecting the blue flames above. She could see her own face looking back, pale, frightened, but determined. This is it, she thought. The end of everything I was. The beginning of everything I could be. She stepped into the pool. The water was ice and fire simultaneously. It burned through her veins, freezing her lungs, igniting every nerve. Felicia gasped, stumbled, fell to her knees. The water rose to her chest. Abel, his name came out strangled. I'm here. His voice was steady, grounding. Keep breathing. Let it work. The pain intensified. Felicia felt something inside her, something that had been sleeping, starving, dying, suddenly wake up. Her wolf. She screamed. The pain was a living thing, tearing through Felicia's body like a wildfire. Her bones cracked and reformed. Her skin burned as if acid flowed through her veins instead of blood. Every cell in her body was screaming, dying, being reborn. Breathe. Abel's voice cut through the agony. Don't fight it, let it happen. But Felicia couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The water around her began to glow, not blue like the flames, but silver. Pure, radiant silver that grew brighter with each passing second. Her back arched. Something was pushing out from inside her, something massive and furious that had been caged for far too long. Let me out, a voice snarled in her mind. Not her voice. Deeper. Primal. Let me live. My wolf, Felicia gasped. She's angry. Of course she is, Abel said. She's been poisoned and starved for 23 years. Let her rage. Let her break free. The silver light exploded outward. Felicia's scream became a howl, wild, anguished, powerful. Her body convulsed, and then suddenly she wasn't human anymore. She was standing on 4 legs in the pool, water cascading off her that gleamed like moonlight on snow. She was enormous. Larger than any wolf she'd ever seen. Her paws were the size of dinner plates, tipped with claws that looked like they could shred steel. When she looked down at her reflection in the water, she saw eyes that glowed pure silver. I'm beautiful, Abel breathed. Felicia's wolf turned to him, hackles raised. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to attack, to destroy. The rage was overwhelming, years of abuse and neglect and poisoning crystallized into pure, burning fury. Abel didn't move. Didn't even blink. He just watched her with those strange red eyes. Go ahead, he said quietly. If you need to tear something apart, I can take it. I've survived worse. Felicia's wolf snarled, lips pulling back from fangs that could punch through bone. She took 1 step toward him. Then another. Abel remained perfectly still. He's not afraid, Felicia realized. Why isn't he afraid? Because he understood. He knew what it was like to carry rage so deep it threatened to consume everything. He'd lived it. Slowly, the fury drained away. Felicia's wolf sat back on her haunches, panting, trembling with the effort of controlling herself. Good, Abel said. You're stronger than your anger. That's the first lesson. He approached carefully, hand extended. May I? Felicia's wolf lowered her head in assent. Abel's fingers sank into her silver fur, and the touch sent electricity racing through her. It felt right in a way nothing else ever had. You're magnificent, he murmured. Everything they said you couldn't be. Felicia closed her eyes, letting his words sink in. For the first time in her life, she felt whole. Complete. Like all the broken pieces had finally snapped into place. But then something else happened. The silver glow that had faded began to pulse again, not from the water, but from within her. Her fur ignited with light so bright Abel had to shield his eyes. What's happening? He demanded. Felicia didn't know. Her wolf whined, confused and frightened as power surged through them. The ancient symbols carved into the floor began to glow in response, lighting up one by one in a circular pattern. No, Abel whispered. It's not possible. Not yet. The chamber shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. And then Felicia heard it, a voice that came from everywhere and nowhere, speaking directly into her mind. Silver blood awakened. The covenant calls. The covenant? Felicia shifted back to human form without meaning to, collapsing at the pool's edge. Abel caught her before she hit the stone. What covenant? Abel's face had gone pale. An ancient pact. Between the first Silverbloods and the moon goddess herself. He lifted her easily, carrying her to the stone bench. When a Silverblood awakens, they're summoned to the sacred grove. It's where. The chamber door exploded inward. 3 wolves burst through, obsidian pack members, their eyes wide with panic. Alpha, the largest one, shouted. The vampires, they're here. A full battalion, moving through the western forest. They'll reach the fortress within the hour. Abel's expression went deadly calm. How many? At least 50. Maybe more. The wolf's gaze shifted to Felicia, and his jaw dropped. Is she? Yes, Abel said. She's awakened. And they knew. That's why they're attacking now, before she's ready. Felicia struggled to her feet, wrapping her arms around herself. Her body still ached from the transformation, but the fear cleared her head. How could they know? I just shifted. The Silverblood awakening sends out a pulse, Abel explained grimly. Every supernatural creature within 100 miles felt it. Including our enemies. He turned to his wolves. Sound the alarm. Full defensive positions. No one gets past the outer wall. What about her? One of the wolves asked. Abel looked at Felicia, conflict warring in his eyes. She needs time to learn control. She can't fight like this. I can learn fast, Felicia interrupted. The same defiance that had kept her alive all those years surged forward. You said I was your only weapon against them. Well, they're here. Use me. You'll get yourself killed. Then I'll die fighting instead of hiding. Felicia's eyes blazed silver. I'm done being helpless. Done being invisible. You wanted a warrior? Then make me one. Now. Abel studied her for a long moment. Then his mouth curved into a fierce smile. You have 1 hour, he said. I'll teach you everything I can. But understand this, Felicia, once you step onto that battlefield, there's no mercy. No second chances. The vampires will try to capture you, drain you, use your blood to make themselves invincible. Let them try, Felicia said, and meant it. Abel's smile widened. There's the Silverblood I was hoping for. He turned to his wolves. Bring me weapons. Training gear. And someone find her clothes that won't shred the second she shifts. As the wolves scattered, Abel took Felicia's hand. 1 hour to turn a kitchen servant into a warrior, he said. It's impossible. Good, Felicia replied. I've been doing impossible things my whole life. Their eyes met, and something passed between them, recognition, respect, and the first spark of something deeper. Something dangerous. Outside, war horns began to blow. The vampires were coming. And Felicia was about to meet them not as a sacrifice, but as exactly what they feared most. The training courtyard was chaos. Obsidian pack warriors rushed in every direction, sharpening weapons, reinforcing barricades, preparing for a war none of them had expected tonight. In the center of it all stood Felicia, dressed in black leather fighting gear that fit like a second skin, watching Abel demonstrate combat stances she was supposed to memorize in minutes. Your wolf is powerful, but raw power without control is suicide, Abel said, circling her with predatory grace. The vampires are fast. Ancient. They've been killing our kind for millennia. Encouraging, Felicia muttered, trying to mirror his footwork. It's realistic. Abel struck without warning, a blur of motion aimed at her throat. Felicia's instincts screamed. She shifted mid-dodge, her human form melting into silver wolf in a heartbeat. Abel's fist passed through empty air as she rolled away on 4 paws. Good. Abel called. But you're thinking too much. Let your wolf react. Felicia shifted back, panting. Easy for you to say. You've had decades of practice. I've had 20 minutes. Then we make every second count. Abel tossed her a silver dagger. The metal didn't burn her like it would other wolves. Your blood is poison to vampires. One cut from a silver weapon infused with your essence, and they die. But you have to get close enough to land it. How close? Closer than you want to be. Abel's expression darkened. They'll try to mesmerize you. Their eyes, don't look directly into them. They'll dig into your mind, find your fears, use them against you. Felicia gripped the dagger. What else? They're faster than wolves. Stronger than most alphas. They don't feel pain the way we do. Abel moved behind her, adjusting her grip on the weapon. His hands were warm, steady. But they have weaknesses. Sunlight, obviously. Silver blood venom. An explosion rocked the fortress. The western wall erupted in flames. Screams filled the air. Warriors shifted mid-run, wolves flooding toward the breach. They're here, Abel growled. His eyes found Felicia's. Stay close to me. Do exactly as I say. Understand? I'm not a child. You're an untrained silver blood about to face creatures that have killed hundreds of us. Abel grabbed her shoulders. I can't lose you. Not when we just found, he stopped, jaw clenching. Just stay close. Before Felicia could process his words, he shifted, a massive black wolf with red eyes that glowed like embers. He was terrifying and magnificent. Felicia shifted too, her silver form gleaming in the firelight. Together, they raced toward the battle. The courtyard was carnage. Vampires poured through the broken wall, pale, beautiful, deadly. They moved like liquid shadow, tearing through obsidian wolves with horrible efficiency. Blood painted the stones. The air stank of death and sulfur. Felicia's wolf froze, overwhelmed by the violence. Move. Abel's mental voice crashed into her mind, the alpha bond connecting them. Don't think, fight. A vampire lunged at her, fangs bared. Felicia dodged on pure instinct, her claws raking across its face. Where her claws connected, the vampire's flesh sizzled and blackened. It shrieked, a sound like breaking glass, and disintegrated into ash. Holy hell, Felicia breathed. Two more vampires attacked simultaneously. Felicia shifted to human form, using her smaller size to slip between them. The dagger Abel had given her found the first vampire's heart. Silver met flesh. The creature exploded into nothing. The second vampire caught her arm, fangs descending toward her throat. Abel materialized from nowhere, jaws closing around the vampire's neck. He shook once, brutal, efficient, and tossed the body aside. His eyes met Felicia's. Behind you. Felicia spun. A female vampire with hair like spun gold stood 3 feet away, smiling. Her eyes were hypnotic, swirling, endless, pulling Felicia in. Look at me, little wolf, the vampire purred. Look and see your deepest fear. Felicia couldn't look away. The vampire's eyes became a mirror, and suddenly she was back in Silverfoot's kitchen, kneeling on cold stone while her family laughed. Worthless. Broken. Forgotten. You're nothing, the vampire whispered. You've always been nothing. This power? It's a lie. You'll fail, and everyone will see the truth. Shut up. Felicia's wolf surged forward, breaking the mesmerization through pure rage. She shifted mid-leap, silver jaws closing around the vampire's throat. Her teeth, infused with silver blood venom, sank deep. The vampire's scream cut off. She crumbled to dust. Felicia landed on 4 paws, sides heaving. Around her, the battle raged. Obsidian wolves fought with desperate courage, but they were losing ground. Too many vampires. Too much death. Then she felt it, a presence so dark, so ancient, it made her wolf whimper. The vampire army parted. A figure walked through the breach, and Felicia's blood turned to ice. He was tall, dressed in armor that looked medieval, with eyes like black holes. Power radiated from him in waves that made the air shimmer. An elder, Abel's mental voice was tight with fear. Felicia, run. Now. But the elder vampire's gaze had already found her. He smiled, revealing fangs that had tasted centuries of blood. The silver blood, he said, his voice like silk over razors. Finally. I've waited so very long. He moved, too fast to track. One moment he was 50 feet away, the next he was in front of Felicia, hand wrapped around her throat, lifting her off the ground. You'll make a fine addition to my collection, he whispered. Such rare blood. Such exquisite power. Felicia couldn't breathe. Couldn't shift. The vampire's grip was crushing her windpipe. Abel crashed into the elder like a battering ram. They went down in a tangle of claws and fangs. Abel fought with the fury of something beyond reason, protecting what was his. But the elder laughed. He threw Abel aside like he weighed nothing. The black wolf hit the wall with a sickening crack and didn't get up. Abel! Felicia's scream was raw. The elder turned back to her, amused. Is that attachment I hear? How delicious. The executioner has found something to care about. His hand reached for her face. Let's see what memories hide in that pretty head. Felicia's survival instinct took over. She shifted to human form, making herself smaller, slipping from his grasp. Her hand found the dagger at her belt. She drove it upward with everything she had. The blade sank into the elder's chest, right where his heart should be. Silver met ancient flesh. Silver blood venom flooded his system. The elder's eyes widened. Impossible. Apparently not, Felicia snarled. The elder vampire staggered back, black blood pouring from the wound. His flesh began to crack, light spilling from the fissures. You should have stayed hidden, little wolf, he gasped. Now they all know what you are. They'll never stop hunting you. Never stop. He exploded into ash and bone. The battlefield went silent. Every vampire froze, staring at Felicia in horror. Then, as one, they fled, dissolving into shadow and mist, retreating into the forest. The battle was over. Felicia dropped to her knees, shaking. Around her, wounded obsidian wolves limped toward their fallen packmates. The air was thick with grief and shock. She crawled to where Abel lay crumpled against the wall. Abel, she whispered, touching his fur. Please. His eyes opened. Red met silver. You killed an elder, his mental voice was odd. On your first night awakened, you killed an elder vampire. I thought I'd lost you, Felicia said, tears streaming down her face. Abel shifted to human form, wincing. Takes more than that to kill me. His hand cupped her cheek. You saved us. Saved everyone. Their faces were inches apart. Felicia could feel his breath, see the wonder in his eyes, the heat building between them. Alpha. A warrior's shout broke the moment. We've got incoming, from Silverfoot territory. Felicia's blood ran cold. Abel helped her stand, both of them turning toward the eastern border. Through the smoke and firelight, figures approached. Wolves in formation. And at their head, walking with the arrogance of a man who'd never faced consequences, was Felicia's father. Alpha Jones had come to the Obsidian Fortress. And from the weapons his pack carried, this wasn't a social visit. Jones didn't come alone. Behind him, 30 Silverfoot wolves fanned out in attack formation. But it wasn't just her pack. Felicia's enhanced senses caught other scents, wolves from the neighboring territories. Riverbend. mountain crest. Even some rogues she didn't recognize. A coalition. Against Obsidian. Against Abel. Against her. Stand down, Abel commanded his warriors. Despite his injuries, his voice carried absolute authority. Let them speak. Jones stopped 20 feet from the shattered wall, his eyes scanning the destruction. When his gaze landed on Felicia, silver-furred, magnificent, everything he'd told her she could never be, something flickered across his face. Not shame. Not remorse. Calculation. Felicia, he said, as if greeting her over breakfast. You're alive. How unexpected. No thanks to you. Felicia shifted to human form, standing beside Abel. She refused to cover herself, refused to show weakness. You sent me here to die. We sent you as tribute, Jones corrected smoothly. To appease the executioner Alpha and prevent war. His attention shifted to Abel. A war you seem determined to start anyway, Jeff. Harboring the silver blood violates the Treaty of Shadows. Abel's laugh was bitter. The treaty you're referencing was written 300 years ago to prevent silver bloods from being weaponized. But you didn't care about treaties when you were poisoning your own daughter. Murmurs rippled through the Silverfoot ranks. Some of the wolves looked uncomfortable. Strong accusation, Jones said. Do you have proof? I'm the proof. Felicia stepped forward, her voice ringing across the courtyard. 23 years of wolfsbane tea. Every morning. Mother insisted. Said it was for my health. She looked at the wolves she'd grown up with, some who'd ignored her, others who'd been cruel, a few who'd shown fleeting kindness. You all saw me fail to shift. Saw me treated like garbage. And none of you questioned it. One of the Silverfoot warriors, Thomas, who'd occasionally snuck her extra food, lowered his weapon. Alpha, is this true? Did we knowingly suppress a silverblood? We protected the pack, Jones said coldly. Silverbloods are unstable. Dangerous. The last one who awakened slaughtered 17 wolves before she could be contained. We made a choice. You made a choice to abuse a child, Abel snarled. To cripple her, starve her wolf, and then throw her away when it became convenient. We threw her away to you. Jones's mask finally cracked, showing the venom beneath. The monster who burned his own pack alive. The executioner who's been collecting power for years, waiting for the perfect weapon. He gestured at Felicia. And we gave her to you. Willingly. Felicia felt the ground shift beneath her feet. What? Did you think it was coincidence? Jones smiled, and it was terrible. We've known what you were since you were born. The silver eyes gave it away. So we started the wolfsbane immediately. Kept you weak. Controllable. But the vampires attacked, Felicia started. Because we told them where to find you. Jones's words fell like bombs. We made a deal. The vampire covens wanted a silverblood to study, to weaponize. We wanted protection from the coming war. So we arranged for Abel to demand tribute, knowing he'd awaken you, knowing the vampires would attack once they sensed it. The world tilted. Felicia's knees buckled. Abel caught her, his arms solid around her waist. You set her up, Abel said, his voice deadly quiet. You used your own daughter as bait to draw out vampire forces so you could, what? Swoop in afterward and claim the glory? We could claim the silver blood, Jones corrected. Once the vampires and your pack had destroyed each other fighting over her, we'd take her back. Train her properly. Use her to elevate Silverfoot to the dominant pack in the region. His eyes glittered. She was always ours. We just needed someone else to unlock her potential. Felicia's vision swam. Every moment of her life had been orchestrated. Every cruelty calculated. They hadn't just neglected her, they'd been farming her. waiting for the perfect moment to harvest what she'd become. "You're insane," she whispered. "I'm practical." Joan stepped closer. "Come home, Felicia. You've proven your worth. You'll be treated as a true Silverfoot daughter now. Given respect. Position. Everything you always wanted." "Everything I wanted?" Felicia's voice rose. "You think I wanted to be your weapon? Your tool? I think you wanted to matter." Jones's tone turned persuasive. "And now you do. You killed an elder vampire tonight. Proved yourself in battle. Come back with me, and you'll be celebrated. Honored. No more kitchen duty. No more invisibility." For one terrible moment, Felicia was tempted. All those years of longing to be seen, to be valued by her family, here it was, offered freely. Then she felt Abel's hand tighten on her waist. Felt the warmth of his body against hers. Remembered the way he'd looked at her in the awakening chamber, not as a weapon, but as a person. Someone worth protecting. Worth dying for. "No," she said. Jones's expression hardened. "Excuse me?" "I said no." Felicia pulled away from Abel, standing on her own. "You don't get to abuse me for 23 years and then waltz back in when I'm useful. You don't get to claim me like property. You're my daughter. I was your daughter." Felicia's eyes blazed silver. "The girl you poisoned and starved and threw away like trash, she's dead. You killed her. What stands before you now is something you created but can never control." Jones's face twisted with rage. "You ungrateful. Alpha Jones." Abel's voice cut through. "You have 5 seconds to leave my territory before I declare war on Silverfoot and every pack that stands with you." "You can't win against a coalition," Jones sneered. "Maybe not." Abel's smile was vicious. "But I can make sure you don't either. And when the real vampire army comes, the ancient ones gathering in the north, you'll face them without a silver blood. Without the one weapon that can save you." Fear flickered in Jones's eyes. "You're bluffing. Try me." Abel shifted to his black wolf form, and around him, his warriors did the same. Wounded and exhausted, but ready to fight. Jones looked at Felicia one last time. "You're making a mistake. That monster will use you just like everyone else." "Maybe," Felicia said. "But at least he asked my permission first." She shifted into her silver wolf and moved to stand beside Abel. United. Defiant. Jones's jaw clenched. "This isn't over. The treaty was violated the moment you conspired with vampires against your own kind," Abel said. "Leave. Now." For a long moment, Jones stared at them. Then he signaled his coalition. The wolves retreated into the darkness, but not before Felicia caught her mother's eyes in the crowd. Catherine looked at her transformed daughter with something that might have been pride. Or greed. Felicia couldn't tell anymore. Didn't care. When the last Silverfoot wolf disappeared, the obsidian pack released a collective breath. Abel shifted back to human form. "Are you?" Felicia collapsed. The adrenaline that had sustained her through the battle, the confrontation, everything, it drained away all at once. Abel caught her before she hit the ground. "I've got you," he murmured. "You're safe now." "Am I?" Felicia's voice was small. "They'll come back. They'll never stop coming. Then we'll fight them together." Abel lifted her in his arms, cradling her against his chest. "But right now, you need rest. You've earned it." As he carried her toward the fortress, Felicia realized something that terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. She'd burned every bridge to her old life. There was no going back. All she had now was Abel, this pack of warriors who'd welcomed her, and a power she barely understood. It should have felt like losing everything. Instead, it felt like freedom. Felicia woke to darkness and pain. Her body felt like it had been shredded from the inside out. Every muscle screamed. Her bones ached with a deep, grinding agony that made breathing difficult. The awakening, the battle, the confrontation, it had all caught up with her at once. She was in Abel's chambers. She recognized the scent, cedar and smoke and something wild. The bed was massive, soft, warmer than anything she'd ever slept in at Silverfoot. Abel sat in a chair by the window, staring out at the pre-dawn sky. He looked exhausted. Haunted. How long? Felicia's voice came out raspy. He turned, relief flooding his features. 2 days. You've been unconscious for 2 days. He moved to her side, pressing a water skin to her lips. Drink. Slowly. The water was cool, sweet. Felicia drank greedily, then collapsed back against the pillows. The pack? Recovering. We lost 12 warriors in the vampire attack. Abel's jaw clenched. Good wolves. Friends. I'm sorry. Don't be. You saved far more than we lost. His hand brushed hair from her face, the gesture achingly tender. You were incredible, Felicia. She wanted to believe him. Wanted to bask in the praise. But a cold dread had settled in her chest. They're coming back, aren't they? She whispered. Jones. The vampires. Everyone who wants to use me. Abel's silence was answer enough. There's something I haven't told you, he said finally. About the vampire army gathering in the north. Felicia struggled to sit up. Abel helped her, propping pillows behind her back. What about them? They're not just any vampires. They're the primordials, the first ones. The ancient bloodlines that existed before wolves, before most of recorded history. Abel's eyes were dark. They'd been sleeping for centuries. But something woke them. And they're gathering an army unlike anything we've seen. How many? Scouts estimate at least 500. Maybe more. Abel stood, pacing. Every supernatural faction is terrified. The other packs. The witch covens. Even the Fae are mobilizing. Because when the primordials move, they don't conquer. They erase. Felicia's blood ran cold. And I'm supposed to stop them? One newly awakened silver blood against 500 ancient vampires? Not alone. Abel stopped pacing, looking at her with something desperate in his eyes. There's a ritual. A way to amplify your power. But it requires, he cut himself off. Requires what? A mate bond. Abel's voice was barely above a whisper. If a silver blood bonds with an alpha, their combined power becomes exponential. You could theoretically take on the primordials. Maybe even win. The air between them went electric. You want me to bond with you, Felicia said slowly. I want you to survive. Abel turned away. But a mate bond isn't something you force. It has to be chosen. Mutual. And you barely know me. I'm a monster who's asking you to tie yourself to me forever because it's convenient for a war. Is that all it is? Felicia's heart hammered. Convenience? Abel's shoulders tensed. What else could it be? We met 3 days ago. You were brought here in chains. I dragged you through an agonizing awakening and threw you into a battle you weren't ready for. His voice turned bitter. I'm no better than your father. Using you for my purposes. That's not true. Isn't it? Abel spun to face her. You think I demanded a tribute from Silverfoot out of nowhere? I've been searching for a silver blood for 2 years. Ever since I learned about the primordials. I've sent demands to every pack within 100 miles, hoping one of them was hiding what I needed. Felicia felt something crack inside her. So I am just a weapon to you? No. Abel crossed to her in 3 strides, dropping to his knees beside the bed. You're not, damn it, Felicia, you're everything. That's the problem. I need you for the war, yes. But I also need you because when I look at you, I see someone who survived hell and came out stronger. Someone who chose freedom over comfort. Someone who makes me believe that monsters can be redeemed. His hand found hers, trembling. I'm falling for you. Have been since you stepped into that pool and chose to become who you were meant to be. But how can you trust that? How can you trust me when I need you for reasons beyond just wanting you? Felicia stared at him, this deadly alpha on his knees before her, vulnerable in a way she suspected he'd never been with anyone. I don't know if I trust you, she said honestly. But I know I don't trust anyone else more. And I know that when I thought you were dead against that wall, something inside me broke. She squeezed his hand. Maybe it's too fast. Maybe it's the trauma or the bond or just desperation. But I feel it too, Abel. This pull between us. The mate bond wants to form, Abel said quietly. I can feel it. Like a door waiting to be opened. What happens if we don't? Felicia asked. If we fight without bonding? We die. The pack dies. Everyone dies. Abel's expression was bleak. The primordials will sweep through every territory. Turn the survivors. Enslave the rest. It'll be the end of the free packs. And if we do bond? We might still die. But we'd have a chance. Abel stood, putting distance between them again. But I won't force you. Won't manipulate you. The choice is yours, Felicia. It always will be. Before Felicia could respond, the door burst open. One of Abel's warriors, a woman named Kelly, stumbled in, blood streaming from a gash on her forehead. Alpha. The perimeter, they'd breached the southern border. Vampires? Abel demanded. Worse. Kelly's voice shook. It's Silverfoot. They've allied with the Riverbend and Mountain Crest packs. They're demanding Felicia's surrender, or they'll burn the Obsidian territory to the ground. Felicia's heart stopped. My father isn't leading them, Kelly interrupted. It's your mother. Luna Catherine. And she's brought reinforcements. Human hunters with silver weapons. They've already torched the eastern forest. They're cutting off our escape routes. Abel's face went hard. How long until they reach the fortress? An hour. Maybe less. Mobilize everyone. Full defensive positions. Evacuate the young and wounded to the northern caves. Abel turned to Felicia. You need to hide. I'm not hiding. Felicia threw off the blankets, forcing herself to stand despite the pain. They're here for me. I won't let your pack die protecting me. Felicia? No. Her eyes blazed silver. You said I had a choice. Well, I'm choosing to fight. With or without the mate bond, I'm not running anymore. Abel looked at her, this fierce, broken, beautiful wolf who'd transformed from kitchen servant to warrior in 3 days, and something in his expression shifted. Then we fight together, he said. But Felicia, there's something else you need to know. What? Your mother isn't doing this for the coalition. She's doing it because she made a deal with the primordials. Abel's words fell like stones. She's going to hand you over to them directly. In exchange, Silverfoot gets to survive the coming purge. Felicia's world tilted. My mother, my own mother, is willing to sacrifice you to save her pack. Her other daughters. Everything except you. The cruelty of it stole Felicia's breath. Not her father this time, but her mother. The woman who'd poisoned her. Who'd looked at her with cold calculation instead of love. They're all coming, Felicia whispered. The packs. The vampires. The primordials. Everyone wants me dead or enslaved. Yes, Abel said simply. We can't win this. Not without the bond. Not without, Felicia stopped, looking at Abel. Really looking at him. This man who'd shown her more kindness in 3 days than her family had in 23 years. Then we bond, she said. Felicia, you don't have to. I know. She crossed to him, taking his face in her hands. I'm not doing this because I have to. I'm doing it because I choose you. Because maybe we've only known each other 3 days, but they've been the most honest days of my life. Because when I'm with you, I'm not a weapon or a liability. I'm just, me. Abel's eyes searched hers. This is forever. Once a mate bond forms, it can't be broken. Good, Felicia said. I'm tired of temporary. Tired of conditional. I want something that lasts. Even if it's with a monster? Especially if it's with you. Abel kissed her then, desperate, fierce, claiming. And Felicia felt it, the bond snapping into place like a key turning in a lock. Power flooded through her veins, doubling, tripling, exploding until she thought her skin couldn't contain it. When they broke apart, both of them were glowing, Abel with dark red light, Felicia with pure silver. Now, Abel said, his voice rough, let's show them what happens when they threaten what's ours. Outside, war drums began to beat. The final battle was coming. The mate bond changed everything. Felicia could feel Abel's heartbeat as if it were her own. Could sense his emotions, the fierce protectiveness, the battle-ready calm, the deep well of feeling he had for her that he'd tried so hard to hide. And he could feel her too, her rage, her fear, her determination to never be a victim again. They were two halves of a whole now. Stronger together than they'd ever been apart. The bond, it's showing me things, Felicia gasped as they rushed toward the fortress walls. Memories. Your memories. I see yours too. Abel's voice was tight. Every moment of loneliness. Every cruel word. God, Felicia, how did you survive? The same way you did, she said, understanding flooding through her. By refusing to break. She saw it now through the bond, Abel's past. The day he'd discovered his pack infected by vampire venom, their minds twisted, their souls corrupted. The impossible choice he'd made. The fires he'd set. The way he'd held his mate as she burned, whispering apologies until her screams finally stopped. He'd called himself a monster. But she saw the truth. He was a man who'd sacrificed his own heart to save others from a fate worse than death. You're not a monster, Felicia said as they reached the ramparts. You never were. Neither are you, Abel replied, his hand finding hers. You're a survivor. A warrior. My mate. Below them, the assembled army was staggering. Silverfoot wolves formed the front lines, flanked by Riverbend and Mountain Crest warriors. Behind them, human hunters bristled with silver weapons and crossbows. And at the center, seated on a makeshift throne, was Catherine. Felicia's mother looked regal and terrible, her expression carved from ice. But that wasn't what made Felicia's blood run cold. Behind Catherine's forces, barely visible in the tree line, were the vampires. Not the scattered remnants from the earlier attack, this was an organized battalion. And at their head stood a figure that radiated ancient power. A primordial. They're already here, Felicia whispered. The advance force. Abel's grip tightened on the wall. Your mother really did make a deal with them. Felicia. Catherine's voice rang out across the battlefield. I know you can hear me. Come down. Surrender yourself. This doesn't have to end in bloodshed. Liar, Felicia growled. You're just going to hand me over to them. Perhaps. Catherine stood, and even from this distance, Felicia could see the calculation in her eyes. But I'm offering you a choice. Come willingly, and I'll ensure the obsidian pack is spared. Your new mate and his warriors can live. And if I refuse? Then everyone dies. Starting with your sisters. Movement to Catherine's right. Felicia's heart lurched. Emily, Celeste, and Isla stood in chains, silver collars around their throats. They looked terrified. She's using them as leverage, Abel said. She knows you're too good to let them die, even after everything they did to you. He was right. Despite the years of cruelty, despite everything, Felicia couldn't watch her sisters burn. I have to go down there, she said. Absolutely not. Abel, listen to me. Felicia turned to him, the bond letting her project certainty directly into his mind. The mate bond gave us power, yes. But it also gave us something else. A connection. You can feel where I am, what I'm feeling, even if we're separated. What are you planning? I'm going to surrender. Let them think they've won. And when they drop their guard, when the primordial gets close enough to try to claim me, her eyes blazed silver. We strike. Together. Through the bond. Abel's jaw clenched. It's too dangerous. If something goes wrong, then we die fighting instead of cowering. Felicia gripped his arms. I trust you. Do you trust me? Through the bond, she felt his war, the alpha instinct to protect warring with his respect for her strength. Finally, he nodded. I trust you, he said. But Felicia, if this goes wrong, if they hurt you. They won't. She kissed him fiercely. Because I'm not facing them alone. Not anymore. She shifted to her silver wolf and leaped from the wall before Abel could stop her. The assembled armies went silent as Felicia padded toward them, her fur gleaming like moonlight. She could feel Abel's presence through the bond, a warm, steady anchor in her chest. I'm with you, his voice echoed in her mind. Every step. Catherine's smile was victorious. There's my sensible daughter. I knew you'd see reason. Felicia shifted to human form, standing naked and unashamed before them all. Let my sisters go first. You're not in a position to negotiate. Let them go, or I shift and tear through your front lines before your primordial friend can stop me. Felicia's voice was steel. I may die, but I'll take half your army with me. Catherine's eyes narrowed. Then she nodded. Release them. The chains fell away. Emily, Celeste, and Isla stumbled forward. As they passed Felicia, Emily whispered, I'm sorry. We didn't know. Save it, Felicia said coldly. Just run. They ran. Catherine gestured, and 2 wolves came forward with silver chains. But before they could bind Felicia, the primordial vampire stepped forward. He was beautiful in the way death is beautiful, pale skin, black eyes, features too perfect to be human. When he spoke, his voice resonated with centuries of power. No chains, he said. I want to see her freely choose this. She's surrendering, Catherine said nervously. As agreed. As I agreed. The primordial's gaze fixed on Catherine with contempt. You were merely a useful tool, wolf. Your usefulness is now expired. He moved faster than thought. One moment Catherine was standing. The next, she was on her knees, the primordial's hand wrapped around her throat. No. Felicia started forward. The primordial's other hand raised. One more step and I crush her windpipe. Felicia froze. Through the bond, she felt Abel preparing to charge, rallying his warriors. Not yet, she sent to him. Wait for my signal. You care for her, the primordial mused, studying Catherine's terrified face. Even after she poisoned you. Sold you. Tried to sacrifice you. How quaint. Let her go, Felicia said. Your deal was with me. True. The primordial released Catherine, who collapsed gasping. Come here, Silverblood. Let me see what makes you so special. Felicia walked forward until she stood directly before him. This close, she could smell death and ancient earth. Could see the hunger in his eyes. Remarkable, he whispered, reaching for her face. The power in your blood, I can feel it from here. Once I drain you, once I consume your essence, I'll be unstoppable. The other primordials will bow before. Felicia grabbed his wrist. Where her skin touched his, silver light exploded. The primordial screamed, trying to pull away, but Felicia held firm. Now, she roared. Abel's battle cry split the air. The obsidian pack poured over the walls, warriors in full fury. And through the mate bond, Felicia felt Abel's power flooding into her, amplifying her own 100-fold. Her blood, already poisoned to vampires, became liquid death. The primordial's arm began to disintegrate where she held him. The ancient vampire staggered back, his perfect face contorting in agony and disbelief. Impossible. No Silverblood has ever. I'm not just a Silverblood, Felicia snarled. I'm a mated Silverblood. And you just threatened my family. She shifted, her silver wolf form now blazing with crimson energy from Abel's alpha power. The combination was devastating. When she lunged, her jaws closed around the primordial's throat. Ancient blood flooded her mouth. She felt him trying to fight back, trying to use his centuries of power to overcome her. But he hadn't counted on the mate bond. Hadn't realized that she was drawing on two sources of power, her own silver blood heritage and Abel's alpha dominance. The primordial turned to ash in her jaws. The vampire battalion behind him erupted in chaos. Without their leader, they scattered. Some fled. Others attacked in blind rage, only to be cut down by obsidian warriors surging into battle. And the coalition wolves, Silverfoot, Riverbend, Mountain Crest, stood frozen, uncertain, watching their carefully orchestrated plan crumble. Felicia shifted back to human form, standing over her mother's cowering figure. You lose, Felicia said simply. Catherine looked up at her daughter, this magnificent, powerful creature she'd tried to suppress, and for the first time in her life, she looked afraid. Please, Catherine whispered. I'm your mother. No. Felicia's voice was final. A mother protects her children. Loves them. You were just a warden who couldn't break me no matter how hard you tried. She turned her back on Catherine, on Silverfoot, on all of it. Abel was there, blood-spattered and fierce, pulling her into his arms. You did it, he breathed. You killed a primordial. We did it, Felicia corrected. I felt you with me. Every second. Around them, the battle was ending. The vampires were routed. The coalition wolves were surrendering or fleeing. Victory was theirs. But through the bond, Felicia felt Abel's unease. What is it? She asked. That was just one primordial, Abel said grimly. An advance scout. The real army, the 500 coming from the north, they'll know what happened here. They'll know what you can do. And they'll come for us anyway. Yes. Abel's arms tightened around her. But this time, they'll know we're ready. Felicia looked at the obsidian warriors standing victorious, at the pack that had welcomed her, at the mate who'd given her everything. Let them come, she said. We'll be waiting. The primordial army arrived 7 days later. 7 days to prepare. To fortify. To send word to every pack, every coven, every supernatural faction that would listen, unite or die. Some came. Many didn't. Those who answered the call gathered at Obsidian territory, wolves from a dozen packs, witches who brought protective wards, even a contingent of fey warriors who despised vampires more than they distrusted wolves. It still wasn't enough. 500 primordials. Against maybe 200 defenders. We're going to die, Kelly said bluntly, standing beside Felicia on the fortress wall. You know that, right? Probably, Felicia agreed. She'd spent the week training, learning to harness the mate bond's power, pushing her silver blood abilities to their limits. Her body was a weapon now, every drop of blood, every breath, lethal to the undead. But we'll die fighting. You've changed, Kelly observed. 7 days ago, you were a scared girl in chains. Now you're still scared, Felicia interrupted. But fear doesn't mean weakness. It means you understand what you're fighting for. Through the bond, she felt Abel approaching. He materialized from the shadows, exhausted from days of strategy sessions and preparations. The scouts report they'll be here by midnight, he said. The primordials are bringing thralls, vampires they've turned. Maybe 1,000 of them. They're planning to overwhelm us with sheer numbers. Can the wards hold? Felicia asked. For a while. The witches did good work. Abel's hand found hers. But once the primordials break through, it'll be hand-to-hand combat. And Felicia, there's something else. His expression was grave. The primordial leading the army, his name is Malachi. He's the oldest. The first vampire ever created. Abel's voice dropped. Legend says he can't be killed. That he survived every attempt for 3,000 years. Every attempt by normal wolves, Felicia said. But I'm not normal. You're also not invincible. Abel pulled her close, his forehead resting against hers. If something happens to me in this battle, if I fall, you have to promise me you'll run. Take whoever's left and run north. There are safe territories. I'm not running. Felicia? No. She gripped his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. We're mates. Where you go, I go. If you fall, I fall fighting beside you. That's not negotiation, Abel. That's fact. Through the bond, she felt his frustration, his fear for her, his overwhelming love. You're impossible, he muttered. You love me anyway. God help me, I do. He kissed her, deep and desperate. When this is over, if we survive, I want to do this right. A proper mating ceremony. Vows. Everything you deserve. I'll hold you to that, Felicia whispered against his lips. A horn sounded. 3 long blasts. They were here. The primordial army emerged from the forest like a plague. They didn't charge. Didn't rush. They walked with the confidence of creatures who'd never known defeat. The thralls surged ahead, mindless, vicious, throwing themselves at the magical wards. The witches' barriers held. Barely. Archers. Abel roared. Silver-tipped arrows rained down. Thralls fell, disintegrating. But for every one that fell, 2 more took its place. Then the primordials began their assault. They moved in perfect formation, ancient warriors who'd fought in wars before recorded history. When they struck the wards, the magical barriers shattered like glass. Now. Abel shifted, his black wolf form massive and terrifying. For Obsidian. For our freedom. Fight. The armies collided. Felicia shifted mid-leap, her silver wolf crashing into a group of thralls. Her claws cut through them like paper. Where her blood splattered, vampires screamed and burned. She was a living weapon, death incarnate. Through the bond, she felt Abel fighting nearby, felt his kills, his injuries, his unwavering determination. They moved like extensions of each other, covering gaps, anticipating attacks. But there were too many. Wolves fell around her. Witches exhausted their power. The Fey warriors fought brilliantly but were slowly being overwhelmed. The defenders' line was breaking. Fall back to the fortress. Abel's command echoed through the pack bond. Defensive positions. They retreated, fighting every step. Felicia stood with Abel at the fortress entrance, holding the line as others fled inside. That's when she saw him. Malachi. The first vampire was beautiful and terrible, 7 feet tall, with eyes like black holes and power that made the air itself bend around him. He walked through the battlefield untouched, his mere presence making lesser vampires bow. When his gaze fixed on Felicia, she felt ice flood her veins. "The silver blood who killed my scout," Malachi said, his voice echoing unnaturally. "You've caused me considerable inconvenience." "Good," Felicia snarled. Malachi smiled. "I'm going to enjoy draining you slowly." But first, he gestured. 6 primordials broke from the army, targeting Abel specifically. They moved as one, coordinated, deadly. "No." Felicia lunged to help, but Malachi was faster. His hand caught her throat, lifting her off the ground. "Your mate will die," Malachi whispered. "And you'll watch. Then I'll turn him. Make him my thrall. And his first act in his new life will be to drain you himself." Through the bond, Felicia felt Abel's terror, not for himself, but for her. Felt him fighting desperately against 6 ancient vampires. Felt the moment one of them landed a devastating blow. Abel went down. "Abel!" Felicia's scream was anguished. Malachi's grip tightened. "Say goodbye." Felicia stopped fighting his hold. Instead, she did something insane. She bit her own tongue. Hard. Blood filled her mouth, silver blood, amplified by the mate bond, supercharged with grief and rage and desperate love. Then she spat directly into Malachi's face. The ancient vampire shrieked. Her blood burned through his skin like acid. He dropped her, clawing at his face, his perfect features melting. Felicia didn't hesitate. She shifted, lunged, and sank her fangs into his throat. Malachi was 3,000 years old. The first vampire. The unkillable nightmare. But he'd never faced a mated silver blood before. Felicia's venom flooded his system. She felt him trying to resist, trying to use his ancient power to overcome her poison. Through the bond, she reached for Abel, felt him struggling to rise, felt his strength even in injury. Together, she sent through their connection. "Give me everything." Abel's power surged through the bond. His alpha dominance. His warrior spirit. His love. Everything he was poured into Felicia, amplifying her silver blood abilities beyond anything that should be possible. Malachi's struggles weakened. His ancient body, sustained by 3 millennia of dark magic, began to fail. "Impossible," he gasped. "I am eternal." "Nothing's eternal," Felicia growled. "Except this, I will never be a victim again." Malachi crumbled to ash. The effect was instantaneous. Every thrall he'd created, hundreds of them, collapsed lifeless. The other primordials froze, staring in horror at the space where their leader had been. Felicia shifted to human form, standing over Malachi's remains. Blood dripped from her mouth. Her eyes blazed pure silver. "Who's next?" she roared. The primordials broke. 3,000 years of arrogance shattered in an instant. They fled, dissolving into mist, retreating into shadow, abandoning the battlefield entirely. The defenders erupted in shocked celebration. Felicia ignored them all. She ran to where Abel lay, 6 primordial corpses around him. He'd killed them all even while she fought Malachi. His wolf form was battered, bleeding, but alive. "Abel," she sobbed, shifting him back to human form. "Stay with me." Please. His eyes fluttered open. Did we win? We won. Tears streamed down her face. You stubborn, heroic idiot. You fought 6 of them alone. Had to. Abel's hand weakly touched her cheek. Couldn't let them hurt my mate. The bond, I can feel you healing. You're going to be okay. Thanks to you. Abel smiled, blood on his teeth. You killed Malachi. Saved everyone. We saved everyone, Felicia corrected. Together. Around them, the surviving warriors began to gather. Obsidian wolves. Allied packs. Witches and fae. All looking at Felicia and Abel with awe and gratitude. Kelly pushed through the crowd, grinning despite her wounds. The primordials are retreating. They're actually running. They'll come back, Abel said, struggling to sit up. Maybe, Felicia said. But next time, we'll be ready. And next time, they'll remember what happens when they threaten the free packs. She helped Abel stand. Together, battered and bloody, they faced their assembled allies. This is just the beginning, Felicia announced. The primordials will regroup. Other threats will rise. But we've proven something tonight, we don't have to face them alone. United, we're unstoppable. A cheer rose from the crowd. Abel's arm wrapped around Felicia's waist. Through the bond, she felt his pride, his love, his absolute certainty that they'd face whatever came next together. The war wasn't over. But for the first time in her life, Felicia wasn't afraid of what tomorrow would bring. She had a mate. A pack. A purpose. She had everything.